But is there a comparison to be made between the other game that they've lost from 2-0 up this season, which is the one against Brighton?
They capitulated completely in that game. I think they were better than that. That midfield was wide open in that Brighton game. It's just more a case of, when you look at Tottenham, if you're having a bad run or you need something to go your way, they're just the perfect team to play. If you're Ipswich coming in, not won a game all season, you feel like you're going to get a chance, you end up winning. Crystal Palace not won a game all season, who do you want to play? Tottenham? And that's just a feeling you always get when you see them. You weren't sitting here with any conviction that they were going to hang on to a 2-0 lead because of how open they play. There are times when they're a joy, when you see them play against Man City and they win 4-0 and we go, right, this could be the turning point. But then they just disappoint you again. And you cannot play that open. Now, I will say there were changes from the Bournemouth game, so I watched it, where the keeper was playing out from the back and it was all the time. Today, they didn't do that. They almost took that risk away from him, which made them marginally better. But you can't say that they ever look comfortable today. They're just too easy to play against. And the risk he took with the two centre-backs didn't pay off, because you've lost Van der Ven maybe if he's hurt his hamstring again from what it normally is another 6 weeks. I mean, that's a risk that just wasn't worth taking.
He said he didn't think it was too bad, but we don't know.
Yeah, but you don't want it for a player, and your responsibility is to make sure that you're taking risk. And I know you want to play, but I don't think they'd have played him if he wasn't under the pressure that he was. But that's sometimes decisions you have to make, because you're the manager, whereas normally if you was on a good run at form, you might say, look, let's hold you back a bit longer. But because of the run, he doesn't want to obviously start the game with Archie Gray and Dragerson, so he had to do something, but it certainly didn't pay off today.
I mean, you said they never looked comfortable in the game. At half-time, Jamie, when you were on the gantry, Paul was saying at 2-1 down, he was absolutely confident that Chelsea would come back to win this game and win it relatively comfortably. Is that a sort of built-in flaw to Tottenham? Is that something that they accept as part of the way that they set up playing?
Well, the manager accepts it because he keeps telling us he won't change. Now, he said something in his interview there about how well they played. And he said, when we're at our best, we still cause teams problems. I can't imagine any manager I played for Liverpool, if we conceded 4 in a game, would say in the interview that we played well. It almost feels like the defenders, and I know it will be, of course it will be, but at the forefront of his mind, almost listening to that interview, he thinks, we did well today. We scored 3 against Chelsea, we had other chances, we looked dangerous. Now, if you play that way, at times you will have that result away at Man City. But you'd have the bad results as well that you had today when you're 2-0 up, or the one at Brighton. And I've never been able to get my head around certain managers at times who say, we play a certain way and we will never change. And I always felt like this started with Pep Guardiola at Barcelona, this idea that we're Barcelona, well, wherever we go, whoever we're playing against, whatever pitch we're on, whether it's the new camp or away from home, we play our way. OK, that was the best team I've ever seen. But when I hear coaches say it now, I'm scratching my head. Pep Guardiola felt like he had to change his Manchester City team, who were winning leagues every season, to win the Champions League. He felt he weren't strong enough defensively. So he went for bigger, he almost put centre-backs at full-back. Now, this idea that you can't change is just alien to me. And I'm watching the Tottenham players do things in the game. Son did something on the edge of the box a minute before half-time. Now, you might do it after 20 minutes if you 1-0 up, you play a certain way. The game state dictates how you play at times. Not all the time, because you have a way of playing. But if you go away to a tough away ground, you don't play the same as you would do playing out from the back at home against a team near the bottom. So
is this about managing risk? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah,
rather than being attacking or defensive?
There's this idea of this pure game and this football game, and the Tottenham fans think they've got their Tottenham back. You won't win anything. You won't challenge doing anything. I wake up every morning and I hope the sun's shining. I want to put a pair of trainers on, shorts and a T-shirt on. We all want to do that. But if it's raining, you put your coat on. It is. You know, you can't have this idea about we're just going to do this and go and play our way of playing football. It won't work. And if it doesn't change, he won't be here next season.
So if you look at their defeats this season, all 7 of them have been by 1 goal, even if they're high-scoring games like the one today. They've been by 1 goal. Their 6 wins this season have been by, or 5 of the 6 of them have been by 3 or more goals. So is there a sense that it is risky, but that the risk is balanced towards success?
Towards what? What are they going to do?
Well, I'm saying if they win well, and then they lose narrowly when they lose, does that mean that there is an argument for that way of playing?
No, because when it's going well for them and they're winning football matches, they all want the ball. They all want it and they're all playing. It'll be nice. when it's tough and it's a roll up your sleeves and it's a big derby game like this, or at Brighton when Brighton get on top, they haven't got that. And then people start hiding. When they're winning games, like they will go and destroy teams at times because everybody wants the ball. It's when it gets hard. It's like when it gets there. There was a couple of players that I didn't see anybody like in the end. I mean, that just covered over the cracks, the last goal. That was a right result for them, 4-3, because 4-2 from 2-0 up. I just don't see it. I don't see it with Tottenham, and that's my problem. If they're 2-3-0 up, oh yeah, they'll go on and they'll get you another one and they'll all be coming short and they'll be playing 1-2s and popping it. But when it's a tight game or they go behind, I don't see that. And don't get me wrong, I wasn't one of them players who was like, you know, come on, let's go.
You showed bravery in getting the ball.
I wanted to get the ball. You know, I never hid. You know, I'd always be one of them, even if I weren't playing well. I want to get on the ball. I don't see that here. And that was one of the problems. I don't know what the lads think, but that's one of the problems I see.
I watched it. If you look at the certain things when you look at teams that we all want our teams to be. Now, everyone in football wants to play from the back. Yeah, Tottenham do that, which is fine. We all want our teams to press from the front. That's the modern way of playing. But they find themselves 2-0 up, and they still want to play exactly the same way. There's nothing wrong with just retreating for a 5 or 10 minute period, someone on the pitch, maybe a message from the manager. I said in commentary after about 25 minutes, this is one of the quickest games I've ever seen in my life. It was unbelievable. It was just end to end. And it's a great entertainment. But if you're Tottenham, you've gone 2-0 up. There's nothing wrong with just taking the sting out of the game and make Chelsea just make passes in midfield, round the back, going nowhere. And you can hit them on the counter-attack. And then maybe 10 or 15 minutes later, then you go back to pressing high, or you start the second half really aggressive. This idea that you play the same way from minute 1 to minute 90 is just, it's not right, it's not football.
And there are three players here, you know, who've all played at the top level, who are all saying the same thing. You go 2-0 up, and you slightly change the way that you play in order to protect that lead. So just to play devil's advocate, why, if you're playing a way that gets you 2-0 up, do you make changes?
I think that's just where you use your experience, you use your football know-how, and you just make sure that you fill in at the right time. But the problem is, if you're going to play in a way where you're going to bring one of your right-backs into midfield and you're going to vacate and leave space, it doesn't ever feel like they're going to have a plan B to just, let's make sure that let's win this game 2-0. That's not easy in the modern game because the game is so exciting, it's end-to-end, and that's how it gets that feeling. But with Tottenham, I just feel when they haven't got the ball, you always feel like there's a player that's going to be on if the counter-attack. And that happens so often today. That happens every time you watch Tottenham. Now, when I look at the players, now, is that Ange's fault that you get your two defensive midfield players do something that's so ill-disciplined? He hasn't got remote control that he can control his players and make them do things like that. But you still have to take responsibility. If you're the manager and your team is so open and you say you don't want to change, that's where it's fundamentally wrong. But for a Tottenham fan, they had Conte was pragmatic. They had Mourinho, didn't work. They had Nuno, didn't work here. And now you've gone the complete opposite scale where, for Tottenham fans, for 10, 15 games last season, they thought, this is it, we found it. This guy's going to make us play beautiful football, expansive, we're going to win. And it hasn't. Now you've gone gone one extreme to the other. So, and it feels like we've said the same things for the last 10 years of coming to watch Tottenham. I just don't know really which way they're going to go next. Because if you sack him, then where else do you go?